I didn't know if you were asking if I would make a motion to separate the vote.
Oh, no, I may just require that. Simply because I think people may feel differently, and that's not, any board member, not just the board president, any board member can divide it. If something's separable, can ask for a divided vote. So that wasn't meant as a hostile initiative, that was meant as a.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but can I just move the entire item right now as is?
You can.
I'll second.
Okay, well, I'm going to, and with no offense intended, because there are three separate changes here, and they really have provoked three separate discussions. I am going to divide the question, and so that we will take Ms. Count's motion and take it in three parts. And I'll first request resolution of the accountability piece, and I would hear. So this is the part on the bottom of page 4. That section's named accountability. So I would here ask Ms. Counts if she would consider a small change.
Where are you? Accountability?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just throwing this out there. Instead of saying the governing board member will meet personally, what if we, which is fairly directive, what if we said should first meet personally?
Sure.
I think. And with that, I would support this. I think it's more realistic than what the status quo has been. Okay. Would the seconder accept that? Okay. Ms. Sedgwick. No.
I just want to point out, I appreciate, Ms. Counts, your comments about this reminding board members that we have duties.
Mm-hmm. I'm agreeing.
I'm speaking.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, Ms. Sedgwick has the floor. We don't need the byplay. Go ahead.
I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate the willingness to be a professional while you're up here. I do want to point out, this should not be here. It should not have to be here. And we should not write policy because the board is dysfunctional to deal with the dysfunction. Individual board members need to control ourselves. And if people on this board put students and TUSD before themselves and their politics, we would all do everything we could to keep damaging information away from the public unless it's absolutely part of being transparent. We wouldn't try to destroy each other on a public stage. And the fact that this board has in the past been exceedingly dysfunctional is not a reason to create policy, because my father was an attorney and he used to say bad cases make bad law. You shouldn't write a policy because the board is dysfunctional. The board needs to function, and we move on from there. So again, I would recommend removing this section altogether. I also don't think that it's practical or practicable in real life for reasons I already mentioned. Thanks.
Dr. Steinman?
Ms. Counts.
I just would like to note that this is not new. It's been changed to hold us more accountable versus kind of this going up to the former director of staff or the governing board president, and it's all it is a change of the current policy that holds us more accountable for our professionalism. So it's not writing new policy, it's just changing it to making us more accountable.
So I'll comment and then Mr. Hall comment. This is a difficult question because there's really no mechanism in statute or, there's no way to discipline board members. So the question is, how do you hold board members accountable? What we have here has not been happening, which isn't surprising. If I were rewriting this section, I don't know if I would come up with exactly what Ms. Counts did, but I didn't think about it. And I think she thought about it. I think that this is a reasonable attempt to do something that's more realistic than what's been in policy so far. And I understand what Ms. Sedgwick is saying, but to respect this reasonable attempt, um, to reset this to something that might work better, which would be a low bar. You know, I appreciate the effort and I'm happy to support it without dismissing Ms. Sedgwick's concerns. But I think this is a reasonable step forward, personally. Is there any other comment or question that I didn't? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Grijalva. I'd already said I would go to you.
So, and I have in the past attempted with 2 different presidents to address an issue that I had, and that was not, and it was board presidents at the time. The issue was not addressed. I do think that it is good for us to have this in policy. Sometimes it's not practicable for a number of different reasons. But just to be clear, it was me as an individual talking to another individual board member who was board president, and I was following this policy. And I think that it's good for us to try to resolve the issues that we have in a civil manner. But sometimes, if those things are happening out in public and on social media and, dragging family and everybody else into it, it makes it a little bit difficult. But I do think that it's important for us to have at least the opportunity for a mediation should both board members be willing. If they're not, then, the point is moot.
Is there other comment or question on the accountability part, which we will vote on first? All right, so let me restate the motion. The motion is to change policy BBAA as posted by Ms. Counts, the section on accountability with the minor change that where it says will meet personally, it will say should first meet personally.
I'm sorry, Dr. Stegman.
Ms. Foster.
So we are voting just to adopt these 2 paragraphs.
That's right, and we'll go back to the others. That's right. This vote is on those 2 paragraphs as I just stated. And hearing no further comment, Michelle, a roll call vote.
Actually, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. I don't want to.
So if we do not adopt these changes, then the policy stays with the accountability section as in the original version?
Yes. Now, of course, if this motion failed, there's nothing that stops someone
It
else.
doesn't take out the whole accountability section altogether.
No, this is right. The failure of this motion would leave the existing section intact. And of course, if the motion fails, someone else can always make another motion. But this is between keeping this section intact or adopting the changes as I just stated, though. It's clear enough, Mr. Ross? All right, a roll call vote, Michelle.
Ms. Sedgwick?
No.
Ms. Counts?
Yes.
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Grijalva?
Yes.
Dr. Stegman?
Yes. So I would now, working backward